What is money? Where does it come from? What does the president do? How does the electoral college work? Does modern society need classes to be sustainable? Is there a perfect objective rule set for a judicial system? Or would the outcome be more just if we relied only on humanity's ability to evaluate scenarios on a case-by-case basis? How can I tell if the news that I hear is accurate? How can I tell if the information I read in history books growing up was accurate? If all of humankind was pitted against the global population of ants, who would win? Who is truly the dominant species? Hey kids, let's talk about how messy my apartment is. Okay, in all seriousness, these are just a few questions that I don't have the answer to. I often speculate about what the answers to these questions are, but
like the infinite horizon, it eludes my grasp.
Am I an oddity in my ununderstanding? Ununderstanding. I don't think so. I think actually most people lack definite answers to these questions. And I'm not saying that I think most people are dumb. I'm not even saying that I think most people are uneducated. What I am saying, though, is that a lot of people, sometimes including me, sure love to fight about stuff that we don't really understand. Let me set the scene for you. On one hand, you got your friend who you met behind a dumpster at a McDonald's at Pride, who spent his entire life being submerged in evidence that the most ethical and sustainable way to run a society is one with a strong federal government that gives out free health care and free education. But on the other hand, you got your Uncle Gary, who once got drunk on communion wine and has spent his entire life submerged in evidence that the most ethical and sustainable way to run a society is that with a free market. They're going at it on Facebook. It's not going anywhere, they're just kind of both mad. You know, they're both pitching somewhat logically sound arguments, but obviously they're not really going to appeal to the other in any way, and they both have some sort of lack of fundamental understanding of something, something, something. Okay, obviously some people are going to know more about certain things than other people. But there's a difference between knowing a lot about how stuff works and thinking that you know a lot about how stuff works. How could you, or I, or nearly almost anyone, know the most ethical way to run a society? Probably only if we've seen a hell of a lot of data that happens to be accurate, or if we have some sort of amazing understanding of the human condition. Which I can assure you, you probably don't, and that's not meant to be an insult. I don't either. I'm not an omnipotent being with infinite knowledge. Unless you're a kind of person who gets an equal amount of information from hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of sources, you're also probably going to be burdened by your own biases. I'm biased. I'm more prone to trusting information from outlets like John Oliver and The Daily Show because I was raised on news outlets like John Oliver and The Daily Show and, you know, that whole business, which is why it would be remarkably pointless for me to get into an argument with someone about minimum wage, especially if I'm under the assumption that someone's support of a lower minimum wage comes only from a hatred of poor people. With someone with opposing views to mine when the only substance to either of our arguments is speculation off of much different data that we've received in our lives. Okay, this is actually way shorter than I thought it was going to be. I can feel myself wanting to branch off and do some other things, but I'm going to stay on track and say, in conclusion, I'm not saying that we should never talk to people who believe different things than us, or that we should go through life not being sure of anything, because we live off of assumptions. To get out of bed in the morning, I need to assume that reality exists and that I'm processing it in a way that's at least workable. And then I need to build off of those assumptions to do basically anything or make any decision. But we also shouldn't approach situations like we have absolute certainty of the topical subject, especially if that situation is a debate. I don't want to tell you how to live your life, but here's two pieces of advice that I'm gonna give. One, be skeptical of the information that you process and your own ability to process information. Not too skeptical, but also not too not skeptical. Two, instead of approaching debates with the mindset of wanting to change someone else's ideologies immediately, approach them with the mindset that what you want to get out of it is a better understanding of what they believe. Because honestly, statistically speaking, they have about as much of a likelihood to be correct. And even if they are wrong, it's very important to know what other people think about stuff, because understanding people is important. And I shouldn't have to explain why understanding people is important, even if it takes a really long time, even if it's really hard. Okay, actually, I have a third piece of advice to give. You should expose yourself to new information that threatens to challenge your own views. It's actually kind of fun. I recommend it. Okay, that's the end of this specific argument. I feel like I probably could have given more examples, but as you can see by the state of my apartment, I'm not really much for putting maximum effort into anything. Anyway, like, comment, and subscribe if you want me to clean my apartment. Either way, I won't do it.